All right, let's talk about it. If you've been anywhere near the diecast collecting scene lately, you have heard two names pop up again and again: MiniGT and Kaido House. Seriously, they've kind of come out of nowhere to become absolute titans of the industry. So, how did they do it? How did they completely flip the script on the entire 164 scale world? Well, the whole story really starts with one simple, powerful idea. This. Right here, this is the whole philosophy.
Before we even get into the cars themselves, you have to get this distinction. We are not talking about something you dig out of the bottom of a toy box. No, we're talking about high-fidelity, passion-driven collectibles, little pieces of art for people who truly appreciate the automobile. And to really understand why that idea was so revolutionary, we need to take a quick look back at what the world was like before they showed up.
So let's rewind the clock and set the scene with what I'm calling the old world. For years, and I mean years, the 164 diecast market had this massive, frustrating gap that every single serious collector knew all too well. On one side of the canyon, you had your peg warmers. You know the ones, the $1 cars you find at any big box store. Preload detail, plastic tires, a lot of wacky fantasy designs. They're fun for sure, but not what a serious collector is hunting for. Then, on the complete other side, you had the shelf queens. These are the ultra-premium, $100 plus models, usually made of resin. They're absolutely gorgeous, but they're fragile, they're static, and let's be honest, they're way too expensive for most of us. For the longest time, there was just nothing in between. You either bought a toy or you bought a museum piece. Okay, so into this massive void steps our first major player. This is the story of a company that looked at that gap not as a problem, but as the single biggest opportunity in the entire hobby. This, my friends, is the story of MiniGT.
The whole thing really gets started back in 2006 with a guy named Glenn Chu and his company TSM Model. Now, these guys were already masters of that high-end shelf queen market, so they knew quality, they knew detail inside and out. But Glenn saw that huge untapped potential in the 164 scale. So in 2017, they made a really smart, calculated move. They launched MiniGT, a brand that was built from the ground up to answer one very powerful question.
And here it is. This is the question that literally changed everything. Why can't a 164 scale car look like a premium model but still be affordable? I mean, it seems so obvious now, doesn't it? But at the time, nobody was really pulling it off. This simple question became MiniGT's mission, their guiding star, and it led them to a set of promises that immediately got the attention of collectors everywhere. And they didn't just talk about it, they actually did it. They built the entire brand on 4 key promises. 1. True 164 scale. No more weird, wonky proportions. 2. Official licenses. From day one, they were working with the biggest names in tuner culture, like Liberty Walk and Pandem. 3. Real details. We're talking actual side mirrors that look like mirrors and real rubber tires. And 4. An accessible price. Not $1, but definitely not $100. They created that perfect sweet spot right in the middle, and the hobby just exploded. But believe it or not, that's only half the story. Because while this manufacturer was busy building an empire, a true creative force, a designer, was about to start his very own revolution. We need to talk about a legend, the one and only Junimai. Look, if you collected Hot Wheels during that massive JDM boom, you were collecting Junimai's work, whether you knew it or not. Those iconic Datsun 510s, the Skylines, all those cool wagons, his designs didn't just sell toy cars, they shifted the entire culture of the hobby. He had a huge following of fans who would hunt down any casting he touched. Inside Mattel, the guy was an absolute rock star. So you can imagine it was massive news when, around 2018, he left Mattel. He went out on his own and started his own brand, Kaido House. At first, it was a home for his art and custom projects, but he had a much bigger dream: to create a line of die-cast cars that were 100% his vision. No compromises, not watered down for mass production, just pure, authentic custom car culture that you could hold in your hand. He had the vision, for sure. The only problem? He didn't have a factory. And this, right here, is where our two stories, the manufacturer with all the production power and the designer with a massive cult following, are about to crash into each other in the best possible way. It all went down at one fateful event. So picture this. Glenn Cho and Junimai are at the Indonesia Diecast Expo, and they finally meet. They get to talking, and somewhere in that conversation, this simple, absolutely brilliant question pops up. What if they joined forces? What if Jin's incredible design vision was paired with TSM's manufacturing muscle? I mean, think about it. It was a match made in die-cast heaven. MiniGT had the factories, the experience with licensing, and a global distribution network ready to go. Kaido House had the creative genius of Jun Aimai and a huge built-in fan base that was dying to buy whatever he designed next. This wasn't just a collaboration, it was a fusion, a partnership that was about to create a true game changer. And for their very first project together, they didn't play it safe. Oh no, they came out swinging. They decided to make a statement, to create a model that drew a line in the sand and showed the entire world what was now possible in 1/64 scale. And that model was the Kaido House X MiniGT Datsun 510 Pro Street. Just look at that number, 35 plus. That's how many individual parts went into their very first car together. In the 1/64 world, that was, well, it was completely unheard of. To put that in perspective for you, a basic dollar car might have, 5 or 6 parts? This was on a whole other level. And the details, the details are what just blew everyone's minds. It wasn't just a car, it was like a miniature project car. You could pop the hood and see a detailed Greddy engine. It had 2-piece machined aluminum wheels. Nobody was doing that at this scale. The stance, the way it sat, was personally tuned by Jun to be absolutely perfect. And then, the master stroke. They included hidden, unmarked chase models. You couldn't tell from the box if you had a super rare one. This was an absolutely brilliant move to reward the real collectors, the ones who actually open their cars, and not just the scalpers. It built this incredible loyalty and started a whole treasure hunt culture around the brand. So, when that Datsun 510 dropped in 2021, it was more than just a product launch. It was a moment. It proved their whole idea could work. But the real impact wasn't just about selling one cool car. It was about how they fundamentally and permanently changed the entire hobby forever. This table really just says it all, doesn't it? Before them, detail was basic, unless you were ready to spend a fortune. Authenticity was kind of an afterthought. Your choice was $1 or $100, and the culture was split between toys and high-end models. But after, detail became everything. Authenticity and official licenses became the new standard. They created this amazing premium but still accessible price point, and they single-handedly bridged that gap, connecting real designer culture with mass production. So what's the bottom line here? What they did was prove that a whole new market could exist. A market that's driven by a designer's vision, that's dedicated to authentic car culture, and that delivers a premium quality that serious collectors are more than happy to pay for. They didn't just join the game, they basically created a whole new league and put themselves right at the top. And that really is the perfect way to sum up their entire journey. It was never just about making little cars. It was about executing a massive, perfectly timed vision for what the entire hobby could become. From Glenn's brilliant idea about premium affordability to Jun's dream of putting real car culture in your hand, it all comes down to this. And all of this leaves us with one really fascinating question. MiniGT and Kaido House didn't just build a brand, they created a successful blueprint that has shaken the entire industry to its core. So now that they've shown everyone how it's done, the big question is, who's going to be brave enough to follow?